Hey everyone, Liam from Solitude here. Thanks for coming back again to my channel. And in this video today, I thought I'd just do a little prediction video about the potential for Triple J to run a hottest 100 Australian songs of all time. Now there have been a few rumors swirling that they might conduct this countdown and vote this year because it's 50 years that the station has been running. If you don't know Triple J, they are a government-funded Australian radio station that predominantly play new up-and-coming alternative Australian music. Now, they've had a very long and stoic history in the Australian music scene. Lately, they've been copping more and more criticisms because of their musical choices and directions. It's really criticisms that they've always copped, but I guess it's under a more dense microscope and lens now because of the Spotify and streaming era. But overall, I still really like what the station does. I still really appreciate the fact that they put Australian music out there and on the map. And I love their countdowns, especially their novelty ones that they put out like this every now and then. Now, I can already imagine some of the criticisms that would be popping up if Triple J were to run this countdown. You'd get your general detractors saying, well, Triple J is just crap now. The music that people would vote would be terrible. It wouldn't be reflective of the best Australian songs. And I get where people are coming from when they say that, because if you look at recent hottest 100s, they have tended to go a lot more in a poppy direction and a lot more in like a TikTok direction, which I personally find a little frustrating, but I guess it's just inevitable. But I'd hold out hope that that wouldn't happen for this countdown, because if you do look back on some of the novelty countdowns they usually do attract less voters. And if there's less voters, it usually means a more organic and natural result, in my opinion. Take, for example, the last big novelty countdown they did, the hottest 100 of the 2010s. That attracted around 1 million less voters than the hottest 100 of the previous month. So if it comes to predicting the potential results of this hottest 100, if it did get out there, I'd like to go through that now and just give you my thoughts as what I think would come out in the high positions and also potential songs to get in the hottest 100. I'm actually going to go through a little bit of an Excel spreadsheet with you and work out what I think it would roughly look like. Okay, but before we run through this Excel spreadsheet, let's talk a little bit about some of the sources of which I'll be taking inspiration from and kind of gathering potential songs that could get in this hottest 100. And obviously we've got our recent novelty countdowns that Triple J did, and we tend to see similar songs popping up near the top. The hottest 100 of the 2010s should be a good potential gauge of some more recent songs that would pop in there. The hottest 100 of the last 20 years, which was conducted in 2013, should also be a relatively good gauge of the potential Australian songs that will be high up. And in 2009, they conducted a hottest 100 of all time. This does feel a little long ago now, but I still think that there will be some general songs voted in this one which are Australian, which we could bank on being high. Now, another potential source to pull from here is what a rival network did, Triple M. They conducted this countdown, the top 100 Australian songs of all time, in 2018. They called it the Ozzest 100 of all time. But there are a few reasons why I don't really trust the results of this countdown. The first reason was that they conducted this countdown as a protest against Triple J from changing the hottest 100 away from Australia Day. So the actual countdown for this Ozzest 100 happened on a January the 26th. Now, whether or not you believe that that should be celebrated or we should be distancing ourselves from is kind of irrelevant here. I guess the problem is, though, it pushed away a lot of people who would have potentially participated in this count and really did kind of narrow their demographic to an older generation. The other problem I see with this countdown is that I just do not trust a commercial station to put out an honest result. I guess that's one thing about Triple J when it comes to their countdowns that I really love, is that they obviously lean into the organic results. Like, for example, in some Triple J Hottest 100s, you often get 2 songs by one artist coming in after another, which radio stations generally wouldn't ever do. You wouldn't ever normally play 2 songs from like AC/DC back to back. And that's something that the Triple M Ozus 100 clearly did not do. It looked really obvious the way they spread the songs out, in my opinion. So all in all, these results are probably close to accurate for their demographic of voters, but I really don't trust the results 100%. All right, let's bring up my Excel spreadsheet and go through some of the potential songs to get in here. I'm going to walk you through it. Alrighty, so what I've got here on this Excel spreadsheet is a list of all the songs in the counts that I'll be taking inspiration from. So first off, you can see the Triple M Ozus 100 from 2018. And all the songs that came in there, I've highlighted some in red that are showing up on multiple counts. That's why you see some in red, just to give me a bit of a reference. Next, we've got the Triple J count for the hottest 100 of the 2010s, which will be helpful. We've got all the Australian songs there. All the Australian songs from the Triple J hottest 100 of the last 20 years count, which was in 2013. We've got all the Australian songs from the hottest 100 of all time count in 2009, which seems like a long time ago now. And the very first hottest 100 of all time in 1989. I've thrown that up there too for reference sake, just to show some songs from then. And also, I've just got a few recency bias songs that I thought could potentially pop up. Now, I've taken the time to kind of sift through these lists and come up with my own sort of rough list of 100 or so songs, which I've got here. So I've kind of worked through all of those songs and picked out the ones I think are most likely to have made the list. And I also just took a little bit of inspiration to pad out the list just from Spotify as well. I've got my own little Spotify playlist of Australian songs, which is actually doing pretty good. It's got 304 saves. I promote it on my YouTube channel, and I guess people just find it. So I think there's some that will just kind of help do up the numbers. Now, what I've done is I've moved that. I've got 112 songs there, so I've moved that over to another sheet here, and let me talk you through some of the findings or some of my opinions that I've got. Now, for my top 10, I'll highlight it here. I've got it in green. I believe that if this count were to happen, I believe that the top 2 are very obvious. I think that number 1 would definitely be the Nosebleed section by Hilltop Hoods. This song performs the best of any Australian song in all of the novelty counts. It always does. And I think it does for a couple of reasons. Number 1, it's a great song. Number 2, it's undeniably the greatest and biggest Australian hip-hop song of all time. So it's kind of like all-encompassing in that one genre. And I guess it's just like the first song that people think of when they think of an Australian hip-hop song. So if you like hip-hop, which a lot of people who listen to Triple J do, this song always pops in there. Whereas like rock music is far more saturated with other good songs. So I think this one will definitely be number 1. I think number 2 will definitely be These Days. This song also performs really well on novelty countdowns. And yeah, it's always in like the top 5, top 10 sort of places, or, you know, thereabouts. And I can see it being number 2 quite easily. So, and then after that, it gets a little hazy for me, but I've given my best go at predicting. I think number 3 could be Throw Your Arms Around Me. Of all like the older classic songs, I think that's the one that performs the best, most typically. And then I think somebody that I used to know has got to be really high. I think that it's a little more recognizable as an Australian song for some people. So I think that'll be in there. And then I'm rounding out top 5 with another Powderfinger song, which is My Happiness. It really is a toss-up between the two as to which is the biggest song, My Happiness and These Days, but Triple J crowd tends to lean towards These Days. I've gone with Down Under and Sanh at 6 and 7 respectively, because I think that when you think of an Australian count, that people are just going to think of these two songs. Traditionally, those two songs would be number 1 and 2 in, you know, general counts, but for Triple J, I think they'll get pushed back a little bit, but I still think they'll perform really well. I think Gotye might have a second song pop in the top 10, because you've got to remember this count and the people voting are more of the music nerd types, and this song is really like kind of the darling of Australian music nerds. It gets a lot of love in Triple J counts. I think it will perform well. And I've got Tame Impala in there. This one could go a little higher, could be closer to 5. Tame Impala crowd is obviously really big and strong on Triple J, so I think it's likely there'll be a Tame Impala song in the top 10. And I'm rounding out my 10 with Tomorrow by Silverchair. Similar to Powderfinger, there's a lot of Triple J love for Silverchair still, so I think Tomorrow will be in the top 10. Okay, and then I've highlighted here in blue my numbers 11 to... I've got 11 to 32. Because I think that they'll be around about right here, but the order, it's a little tricky to determine. So you can have a look. I'm not going to walk through all of these because this will make it long, but you'll see it on the screen here. But these are the songs that I believe will be close-ish to that sort of area in the 11 to 30-ish. And then after that, it does get a little bit mushy and a little bit hazy as to what songs will get in and where. So I just kind of lump them all together. But these are the ones that I think will get in. So you can have a look there on the screen. Tell me if you think I'm right or wrong on any of these. And then I had to cut out a few here, so these are the ones that didn't quite make the cut of my 100. But you can tell me if you think I'm wrong. Some of these, they very well could make it. And is there any that I've just completely missed? Do you think there's any like classic Australian songs that will get in? Or do you think there's any like newer ones that will also get in that I haven't mentioned in this video? So thanks for checking it out, everyone. That's what I think will happen if Triple J do a hottest 100 Australian songs of all time. I really hope they do this count and vote. And if it's going to happen, I think it's going to be this year because the 50-year celebration is underway. And yeah, I think it'll be really interesting. I'm definitely going to tune in if they do that, vote, and count down. And if they don't do it, to be honest, it's something that I'd love to just personally do myself on my YouTube channel. So we'll give it a year and see if they end up doing it. But if not, yeah, I'd love to just conduct this vote myself. So maybe that'll be cool and a little fun thing to do. So see you later. Thanks for checking this one out. Bye.